This is Dave Meltzer with Entrepreneurs the Playbook, and I got a good friend. I have watched this boy grow up from Duke into an extraordinary entrepreneur, Stephen Galanis. He's the co-founder and CEO of the extraordinary company, Cameo, which I also have watched from its very inception into an awesome, highly anticipated, but also competitive space company. Welcome to the Playbook, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Well, I have to start, right? You're a Duke guy, ex-athlete, I think hockey player, right?
Yep.
And your evolution, to me, your superpower is one that I share, which is the ability to raise money and to create a vision, be able, it's one thing to create a vision for people and get them excited, but to get the names of the people that have invested, from individuals to, of course, some of the greatest VCs that are out there, but also the names that are involved in Cameo. When a lot of people had great skepticism. I know when you first came to me, I am always looking for the cracks, the holes, etc. And I know Marsh as well, your co-founder. Yep. He received a lot of hate mail. What do you think the attributes? There's so many entrepreneurs that want to do what you do, and you've been able to, at every level, keep executing. What are the characteristics or the skills that you're utilizing in order to effectuate the raising money, getting beliefs, and sharing a vision?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. It really starts with founder market fit at the beginning. People always talk about product market fit, but I think founder market fit sometimes is even more important. If you were to create the perfect dream team to start Cameo, it would probably look exactly like the team that we made. Martin, my one co-founder, was an NFL agent and movie producer. Now, if he was as big of an agent as Leigh Steinberg or as big of an agent as Ari Emanuel, he probably would have been too busy to create Cameo. But because he was in that world and he knew enough to be dangerous, had connections, had gravitas, but ultimately he wasn't the most successful person in the world at that stop. That gave him a lot of fire in his belly, and his flame was burning blue to win in this space when we got started. My co-founder and CTO, Devin, was one of the original Vine stars. How many engineers in the world are had a billion loops on Vine, right? And actually intimately were creators. And then, for me, I'm a marketplace guy. I was an options trader. I've always been an entrepreneur. My nickname since kindergarten has been the mayor. My superpower is bringing people together and, predicating relationships based on deep trust and high integrity. And ultimately, I've never been anyone that's asked for anything before in my life. So when finally I had an idea and I had passion about it, and I brought this team together, going to people that I'd always been helpful to forever and never asked for anything in return, coming to them with this vision, they're betting on the jockey, not, at the beginning, not the horse, right? And ultimately, I think it was everything else I've done in my career that's shown me to be high integrity. Jeff Weiner, who's my CEO coach, always says, trust is consistency over time. And I think, that was a huge part of what ended up putting me in a position to, realize my dream and my co-founder's dream of building a company like Cameo. We had all the ingredients, but the blue flame was burning in all of us. If Devin was as big as YouTuber as David Dobrik, he wouldn't be coding for us. If I was Jeff Weiner, I would not be working 20 hours a day to get this business off the ground. So I think it was that mix of really having fundamental love for the surface area that your company's touching. And we always talk about Cameo talent. We tried to build a product that was so fun that they would do it for free, but they get paid, right? That's kind of how I felt about my job for the last 4 years. There were a few years there where we didn't get paid at all. But, if this thing works, I would have done this for free the whole ride.
Yeah, being on Cameo myself, to me, and my business partner, Warren Moon, is really fun because we were there at the very beginning. We looked at it to invest in it. And, we're not the early adopters when it comes to this. And through, Warren's a little bit older. So through our Hall of Fame connections, of course, number one, they had a little bit of resistance of understanding what was going on. And two, still, they have a hyper protective way of saying, no, I'll just do this myself. And what I love about the journey is that you've been able to take early adopters, get that alignment, and continue, like you said, consistency, which is one of the cornerstones of what I believe in life is the key to happiness, which is enjoying that consistency and being persistent based off of the consistency to pursue your potential. I think it's just awesome that Warren and I both and all of our friends are on Cameo and getting traction. But my favorite thing is the one on the business side, when I was looking at the investment, besides having an older athlete as my partner going, now we're not doing it until everybody else is doing it. Now he's like, yeah. But the other side was, really understanding why, like you said, people would allow their traffic to move over to Cameo, aggregate all of that traffic for the betterment. Because, the initial thing that Warren looked at was, all right, so Dave, you're going to drive all this traffic to Cameo. What if they want Troy Aikman instead of me, right? There's this scarce attitude. And you've been able to overcome that one hindrance that I thought would maybe stop the company, that, people would find their own ways to use their traffic. But you have been able to aggregate everyone's traffic and an abundant attitude that, I might go on there to go find Dave Meltzer, but, Gary V's on there. He's much better. I'll pay for him. And I'm okay with that. What do you think that transition and understanding has, because a lot of people have failed because they weren't able to convince people that.
Yeah, look, for businesses like this to work, you actually have to establish network effect, right? Otherwise, the business is just, Warren setting up shop at the Long Beach Convention Center at an autograph show. And like the whole market for him is just, he's there and like, who's going to sit in line to get an autograph or a picture with him? But if you got every Hall of Famer in history all in one convention center together, and then added every reality TV star and every musician and every actor and, and you did it in every single genre, then like, that's going to be the biggest draw ever, right? And you're opening it up, and you're not limited to, who's in your town, right? It's all over the world. Talent's a global business. I remember when Snoop Dogg joined the platform, and he said that, he's got 43 million followers, and he has the second most followers in Brazil out of any country but the US, right? So by being on Cameo, Snoop's able to be in Brazil without having to leave his couch. And I think that was a really powerful thing. And then on top of that, right, we've never asked talent to promote Cameo. We asked them to promote themselves. So cameo.com/Warren Moon, he's bringing traffic to his own page. The business model favors the talent. They make 3 times as much as we do. It's a 75-25 split for every single person on there. So, we've seen direct-to-consumer businesses based on celebrities work with Kylie Jenner and with, Lady Gaga and with Gwyneth Paltrow. These work, right? But here's a platform where we have 30,000 people selling the thing they're most passionate about, their personality, their own time. And when you aggregate it, it's extremely powerful. And frankly, that's one reason why I think we've been able to pull it off. The second one is that very early we found that one of the problems I was trying to solve, I was really influenced by the ESPN documentary Broke. And David, I know you're intimately aware with the problem. 80% of NFL players go broke within 5 years of playing their last game. And there's something, this really hit me when one of my best friends, who is a future New York Knick, graduated from Duke, was like a superstar at Duke, didn't get drafted. It was the lockout in 2010. And he had to call me and ask to Western Union him $300. When I was a 21-year-old options trader in Chicago, right? And like, here's somebody that is well known as anyone in the country as a college basketball player, and like he had no money because he didn't get drafted. And then another example that I think really hit me, Ernie Banks in Chicago died penniless. Like, Ernie Banks is my dad's favorite athlete, any sport ever. And this guy's a legend in Chicago, Mr. Cub, right? And suddenly, you think of Ernie Banks couldn't pay for a dinner anywhere in Chicago, couldn't pay for a drink. And this guy was penniless, but like, I would have paid $5,000 for Ernie Banks to wish my dad happy birthday or come to his party or something like that. So we had this idea that people today with social are more famous than they are rich. And this is a huge arbitrage opportunity. And this is why, like, I don't think LeBron James is going to come on. And I think a lot of people, or, Taylor Swift or Beyonce or Jay-Z, there gets to be a point where you're actually more famous then you're more rich than you're famous. Michael Jordan turns down $10 million to go golfing with people, right? Like there's a point where you don't want more fame and you don't want more money. And frankly, we acknowledge that there's probably not more product market fit for those people, and we didn't worry about them. We focused on people on their way up. We focused on legends that have a lot of nostalgia, and we found product market fit on both sides of the curve. You know, that's why Lamar Jackson's joining Cameo, you know, when he's a backup quarterback. The day he finished his bowl game at Louisville, he's on Cameo. And, you know, the future Tom Brady's like, they're all on. You know, they're joining in the day their bowl game's over. And next year, they're going to be able to join during college, right? So the thing that's cool is like this is going to become part of their creator stack, just like Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, any of the other platforms, TikTok.
Yeah, you know, it's amazing because that's exactly, you know, even as an entrepreneur, a middle-aged entrepreneur, an up-and-comer who, when we met, it wasn't about my following at all, right? And now, you know, TV shows, podcasts, all this stuff I have. And like even today, I just got one for Father's Day, you know, from you guys. And, you know, I'm thinking there, what an irony, right? I'm like talking, you know, for Father's Day, wishing somebody a Father's Day because they're a Dave Meltzer fan. And if you would ask me when I first met you at the Super Bowl years ago, I'd be like, come on, man, there's no way like anybody would ever pay, you know, $100 to have me wish a happy Father's Day to someone. But that's how big the market is. And, you know, now with the compressed uncertainty that we've had, this accelerated, I believe companies like Cameo have accelerated where they would have been because of the comfort level. I know I have with this, I never did a podcast virtually, right? I carried a team with me. We'd fly to you, Steve, sit down, and I can't tell you how many more people I have access to and how much better it is. And I think this kind of thing right here is also something that's catalytic for you because people are just, there's this new emotional attachment, like this is super cool. There he is.
Dave, it's the same concept, right? Look behind you. You got autographs everywhere. You probably were there for every one of them. The core idea with Cameo is the selfie is the new autograph, but we were thinking, how do you create the remote selfie? How do you create the selfie that you're not in? And that had to be through video. So we always got rid of location as a variable. And that has enabled us to, you know, we have 30,000 talent. You know, I think we are not an agency. We have no desire to be an agency, but we've signed more talent than WME, CAA, ICM, UTA, and probably the next 5, 6 together combined. So you know, we've been able to do that mostly from Chicago, where we have, you know, 22 to 24-year-old kids DMing people on Instagram and texting with them and FaceTiming with them. And you know what? I remember you talk about, you know, even kind of age. I remember when I got Bobby Hall on Cameo, and that's my dad's all-time favorite hockey player. Bobby Hall is 89 years old, and I'm trying to explain to him how to take a video selfie. But you know what? He FaceTimes with his kids every day. So the technology is ubiquitous. They get it. We probably couldn't have done this 5 years ago, but in a post-Snapchat age and a post-Instagram story age, you know, everything was ready for something like this.
It's so true. In fact, I was talking to my mom when, you know, I have 3 teenage daughters and a 10-year-old son, but she was complaining to me that before COVID, right, that the girls that didn't love her, that they didn't call her. And I said, Mom, you got to get on Snapchat. And she's like, well, I can't do that. I said, it'll take you 6 minutes. And she's like, well, how do you know that? I said, because my 10-year-old taught me in 6 minutes and you're smarter than I am, right? And this is a key component. I think the other side that's really helping is the comfortable payments, right? You know, when you first approached us and it was early, there wasn't nearly the ease of using the phones, videoing yourself, and then getting paid. You know, that's 80% of I am that guy that Mars, right? Like I'm that guy. I was the CEO of Leigh Steinberg. I used to say, I don't care if you got an appearance or a sponsorship or an endorsement.
Totally.
You know that world. I cared about 80% of the time. I did all my effort. My job was getting paid, right? I was like 20% booking my dude. I want 80% of my time. I want to get paid. What makes Cameo so amazing is I think I've already been paid for what I just did.
Well, literally, we've done 1.2 million cameos now, and we've never defaulted on payment, right? So, like, you think about how many autograph signings did you set up, and they go sign everything, and, you know, the guy that with the paycheck, you know, everybody got their balls and their stick signed, but suddenly that guy's gone, right? Or, you know, some sponsorship, somebody does something for a favor. the work doesn't even get presented to you till we know you got the money, right? And that trust when you talk about network effects, you know, hey, we've never defaulted on a payment. We pay you out in 48 hours. Like that's our reputation. That's our gold. And we, you know, have cultivated that incredibly. We've been incredibly thoughtful about that from the beginning, and that's what builds trust.
And one of the other things that a lot of people won't know, but you will for the nuances on the celebrity, athlete, and entertainer and entrepreneur side, is that, you know, when people are doing things in person, one of the biggest money losses is that people are human, and you sign an agreement to do a signing, so many pieces, so much time. There hasn't been one time that I showed up, and this is true for me now, right? Yeah. That I do a speech and sign books, that they don't take more time and ask me to sign more things, or especially, I've never had an athlete show up with her, and you know what they always do too? They sneak in the most expensive item. Yeah. Right? So you get all these items, 200 things to sign, and then they'll bring like a collector's version of your jersey that if he signs it, now is more money. They can go flip it on eBay for
probably everything else he said. Yeah.
You're in a completely controlled environment.
Yeah.
You know how much time you spend. And my favorite thing too are pants are optional. That's another
pants are optional. I'm not wearing pants right now, but but even alongside that, right? There's no resale value on Cameo. So that's the other thing that I think, you know, talent have really appreciated, is they understand that the person on the receiving end is the person that they thought it was, right? How many times do people get hoodwinked, you know, at a game or in line, and they sign something, oh, it's for my, you know, and they never ask for if you put the name, you know, then it's almost like devaluing it, right? Exactly. So the cool thing about Cameo is there is no resale value of a Cameo. They're authentic, they're personalized. That's what makes them special. But I think the talent likes that. They know that the person on the other end is one of their biggest fans.
Yeah, we used to do at the dinner suits, a lot of times a dad would come over for his son, you know, and Warren, he was so great about it. He would say, this is for my son. And Warren would say, hey, terrific, can you bring your son over? I'd like to meet him and take a picture with him. You know, and it was so much fun because then Warren would say, so do you know who I am? And the little kid would say, no, my dad just told me to come over here. It was so good.
That's awesome.
Anyway, you know, just real quickly, because we got a couple more minutes. You know, it's one thing with your business acumen, you know, obviously working where you have, you know, on the floor, bringing together the right team. All of these are great entrepreneurial variables, but, you know, it is a skill set. You know, you've been able to raise money from celebrities, athletes. You've been able to raise money from the biggest VCs, ones that I've dealt with on Sand Hill Road way back in the early 90s. So I know what that's like. And I always tell people when they're like, you know, what's truly your business superpower? Charities and business. That you know, I'll never starve because I know how to do that.
Yep.
Give me one skill that helps you with that beyond, you know, the founder, et cetera, just like a straight out sales skill, because it is a sale. You know, what would you, because there's so many guys out there that have no clue how to do it. What do you think allows you to have that superpower?
I think you have to be an amazing storyteller, first off, and you have to paint a very compelling vision. And I've always tried to reframe this, like when I work with, you know, founders that I've invested in now or people that I'm mentoring, like fundraising is just a proxy for hiring, right? That's actually literally all it is. Nobody thinks about it that way, but if you can't fundraise, then you're not going to be able to hire anybody. It's the same exact skill set. So I always tell people, don't think of you like you're in this lower position, right? When you're going to raise money from them, you should be interviewing them like they're trying to come work for you, because that's what they're doing. They are giving you money to go hire people. So by proxy, you're hiring them. It's not the other way around. And that's a little framing. That's a little framing, and I think it'll totally change people's mindsets when they go into a partner meeting and they really think of it as like, hey, there's nothing on the line, right? It's just like if someone interviews you and you pass on them or they pass on you, okay, fine, you're going to interview another one. It's the same thing with fundraising.
That's a huge nugget, because I think a lot of people take the interviewee perspective and to frame it under you should be. And I tell people all the time when I'm interviewing them, you need to interview me. And so I force them to come up, give me your number, you know, top 3 questions or your number 1 question, depending on time. You're interviewing me. What are you going to ask me? And if they can't think of an answer, they're diminished you know, unless it's like a hyper technical job that I know the guy can do, if it has anything to do with personality or emotion, they've lost credibility with me if they don't have one question that interviewing me to say, hey, I'm going to give you my life, but I really don't care what you think or what the job's like.
Yeah, or if every question you ask them, they always say, great question. You know, they're not all great.
All right, last question, not great question, last question. I have to know because, like you said, you guys have 1.2 million cameos already, and you are a sports guy and a sports fan like me, which is always what drives me. Right now, besides David Meltzer, of course, who's the number one person you'd like to get a cameo from that's on there?
That's on there or not on there?
Oh, give me both. That's great. That's even better question.
So the one that I just think is just amazing is like, I just love Mike Tyson's cameos. You know, and he's just got so much personality and he's so thoughtful. You know, Dennis Rodman's another one that's just got a great personality. Brett Favre I've become, you know, pretty close with through this. I got to say one other one that as I'm thinking about it right now, Ray Lewis pumping me up for something like that's got to be all time.
He's one of my favorite podcasts, man. I was scared. I did it at his house. He grabbed my leg and he was telling me he was willing to die. That's why he was such a good football player on the field. And I literally almost peed myself.
Yeah, and so Ray is there. Now, the funny one, obviously I'm from Chicago. I grew up in the 90s. So, you know, Jordan's an obvious answer. Like, that's cool. But the one that actually I always tell people, if you were my best friend from growing up, the one that you would know that the average person would know is it, for me, it'd actually be Eddie Belfour. Eddie Belfour was the goalie of the Blackhawks, three-time, you know, goalie of the year in the NHL, like was just my like idol growing up. And I became a goalie. I played through college because of watching Eddie the Eagle. And, you know, I don't know where Eddie is now. He's probably, you know, probably in some bar in Toronto somewhere. But Eddie, if you're listening, we'd love to get you on Cameo. And I'd probably be your first customer. I hope, you know, Jake or RJ are two of my best friends from back in Chicago. They would see him on immediately. They see it in the Cameo email, and they're buying for me right away.
Well, I'm going to do a favor for you, and I'm going to make it one of my missions as an ex-agent who I know Eddie. So I'm going to reach out and tell him he has to do it. We're going to get him on. I'm a dream maker and a way maker. So incredible, my friend. I'm so proud of you. I love the fact. And look, I'm a big investor, and I will just say straight out, I pick winners and I pick, you know, the wrong thing. This is one of those that you have exceeded my expectations. I never thought you could do this, and as big as you guys have done it, and I'm just so humbled to be a part of it and to be able to take advantage of what you've done now. So congratulations, my friend. If you need anything, you let me know. Stephen Galanis, this is David Meltzer with Entrepreneurs, the Playbook.